We're going.
We got a clapper.
Oh, serious.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm awake.
All right, so we're going to try to keep it 30-ish minutes.
Okay, good luck. Good
Right,
luck.
Yeah, exactly. But what we'll preface, we are 2 or 3 weeks out from registration for the youth adventure teams around Wisconsin, Michigan, and Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it'd be good to hop on, have some conversation about the teams.
Yeah.
I know a common question from parents when they're thinking about getting their kids into anything is this going to be a good experience for my child?
Yeah.
Our survey last year that we put out to parents, a common concern, hesitation, fear was that they'd put their kids in the bike club and the kids might have a negative experience.
Mm-hmm.
I think you and I have talked about that.
Yeah.
So a lot of bike club talk today.
I love it.
But where I wanted to start is how all of a sudden, this past weekend we went down. I'm coaching youth basketball for the first time in, it must be 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't coached since my oldest son played. Well, right now, ironically, Cable is at that age that Gavin was at back when we were starting 906. And having just come back from a tournament, it was like deja vu.
Yeah.
Because that competitive athletic environment of basketball and football and baseball or soccer or whatever fill in the blank sport it is so drastically different from what we do with the adventure teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll call back for a moment to when Gavin was young. And we were just getting 906 started. And ironically, our first foray into working with kids was with primarily high school aged kids. There were 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And we were teaching them how to race competitively. That was the focus.
Yeah.
And, that was the focus because, frankly, that's what everybody does with kids. They come up with something for them to compete in.
Yeah.
So as we're building or thinking about building this program and figuring it all out and working with this group of kids, over the first few years, it went from 5 kids to probably 15.
Mm-hmm.
Never got much beyond 15 until we went into racing in Wisconsin with NICA, and then it got up to 30. And then when we finally had the race team go off on its own a few years ago, it was still, I think, in that 30, 35 range. So it never really grew beyond that. But I remember while we were in the early years of development, Gavin was playing basketball. I wasn't coaching him at the 6th grade level because he went into school and that was handled by teachers in school. But one particular moment that really influenced me, which then influenced the organization moving forward, was a couple of experiences when I went to practice for the 6th grade team. And I wasn't really there to watch practice. It was, I had to get from work to another place on the backside of picking up Gavin from practice. And it wasn't efficient to be running back and forth to home. So I just went, I'm like, I'll just go sit in the bleachers and I'll work on the laptop while they practice. And then when they're done, I can grab him efficiently and go home.
Yeah.
What I saw was a team of 10-ish kids. And it was more than that. It might have been 12 to 15. Essentially third string, the last 5 kids on the depth chart, they spent most of their time on the floor sitting with their back against the wall. My kid was one of them. And Gavin would be able to tell this story too from his perspective because we talked about it all weekend while we're down there with his brother playing basketball. But I remember sitting in the stands and at some point it just flipped a switch in my brain and it was like, why are the same 5 kids sitting on the floor all the time? Yeah, I mean, they were getting up occasionally to get in to do something. If they got put into a scrimmage, the first time they made a mistake, you're out.
Yeah.
Go sit down.
Yeah.
Put somebody else in. So there was this epiphany for me that while, yes, they're on the team, what opportunity are they actually getting to ever improve?
Yeah.
And there wasn't really any opportunity. And that really settled in my head. And I remember if you play it forward a year or two, Gavin was still deep in the depth chart, not playing much, which is fine. I mean, he and I were very honest about it at that time. He didn't deserve more time on the court. Mm-hmm. If you're there to win,
sure,
he wasn't going to help them win. But I remember one time I said, you know what? You need to go in and you need to at least ask your coach, Coach, what are 3 things I can do to get better? What do I need to do to ever see the light of day and get on the court other than when we're up by 40 in the last minute? Mm-hmm. And I think if we can get this podcast in front of parents, there's a heck of a lot more parents out there that live with that reality than there are parents who live with the reality of having a kid on the starting 5 or, top 8 positions in the depth chart.
Yeah.
So I think that this would resonate. Mm-hmm. He goes in, he talks, he sits down. I give him a lot of credit because he's, 13, 14. Talks to his coach and asks him point blank, what can I do better? What do I need to do better? And the coach looks at him and says, you're doing everything great. Just keep doing what you're doing. And he came home and he told me that. And I'm like, are you kidding me? It was clearly the coach wasn't being honest.
Yeah.
Gavin had a lot he needed to get better at. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about it. And the coach, I don't know why he didn't tell him.
Yeah.
I understand why he didn't play. I want to reiterate that. I get it. But it's not helping him. And then if you look at the traditional sport rosters, the other piece of it was it's super restrictive. You can only have so many kids on a team. Only so many kids can play at a time. Minutes are scarce. And, to some degree, you're battling the kids on the team for more time on the court.
Yeah.
So everything's a competition. Mm-hmm. So when we went down this weekend, first time, and I don't know how long, coaching this travel team, AAU team, it's like it all came rushing back.
Yeah.
Because, in that environment, when you go to an adventure team ride in any of our communities, more often than not, there's no limit to how many kids we'll work with except the number of volunteers that we can recruit.
Right.
That's the limiting factor. There's no roster. And any child that shows up has to be ready to go. Mm-hmm. They got to suit up and be ready to ride. Mm-hmm. Super inclusive. Everybody gets
Nobody's sitting on the bench.
Nobody's on a bench. Everybody's getting to ride for 2 hours.
Yep.
And they're getting an opportunity to improve upon their skill set. Mm-hmm. Well, we go back into that basketball tournament environment, and I don't know how many teams were there. A lot. Let's say there were 40. When I go to bike club, I never feel like success is an infinite resource that we're all battling for. Mm-hmm. I feel like there is this environment that allows everybody the freedom to work on themselves and to not compare what they're doing to somebody else.
Sure.
They're not valuing where they're at based on how well or not well they're doing something, or on how well somebody else is doing something maybe better than them. Mm-hmm. But at the tournament, totally different deal. And I was sharing this with you yesterday, how I can feel going into those environments, the shift in my energy, because I go in there knowing somebody has to win and somebody has to lose.
Right.
We're trying to get to the championship game.
You want to win.
You want to win.
Yeah.
That is what you're there to do.
Right.
And I'm not sure yet. I'm still sort of parsing through how I feel about the energy shift that it creates in me. It was nice to come back home and be like, okay, well, we're going to take a break from that for a month before we got to go back to another tournament. I love it. Mm-hmm. I'm naturally wired to be super competitive, and I've actually had to learn how to, which I think I also shared with you, I've had to learn how to channel my competitive nature and drive into helping others succeed versus channeling it just personally for my own success. Because when I am that other person is not fun to be around.
Yeah.
Because nothing matters but winning. And I will do whatever it takes. And everybody in that tournament this weekend, that is very much the mindset. We ended up in a couple of our last 2 games were super physical. The second to last game, I think I told Mark this, and maybe you were in the room too.
I'm always lurking.
We had played the team that we had to play again. We played them on Saturday, last game Saturday, and we beat them 63-33.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a rough game. They emotionally as a team, the other team, they came apart, bickering, yelling at each other. It was not a good scene. I warned the team, our team, after the game, hey, you played great. It all came together. Everything we've been saying we need to do, you did it. And that was the result. And now we got to play these guys again tomorrow. And you better be ready.
Yeah. They're coming for you.
Because if I was them, I'd be coming for you. Right? Well, they listened and they nodded and they said, okay, coach. But they're 14. And it's pretty hard when you beat somebody that convincingly to not go into the next game, I think, with a little bit of an assumption like, hey, we're going to the championship.
Sure.
And that team, I'll admit, I didn't think that they had it in them. I warned our guys. I said, I'd be looking for a fight. But I didn't think that that team had it in them. They had it in them. It's like that was the thing they ended up rallying around, was beating us up.
Sure.
And when they came in, they did that. I had to call, I told Mark and you, I had to call a timeout at one point in the game. I called our team over and I'm like, this is officially transitioned from a basketball game to a fist fight.
Yeah.
You are in your first fist fight.
Yeah.
Now the question is going to be who can take a punch and keep going. And our guys did it, but it's different. It is so different from what we do.
Yeah.
And it just, I love it. And I'll continue to do it with these guys because this is what this group of boys wants to do. This is what they need. But I am so thankful that we've got this other opportunity for all the kids that don't resonate with that environment and that type of, I'll just say finite thinking, because it really truly does limit success. And the only thing that's different about how that environment operates versus an adventure team environment or 906 adventure team events, programs, is mindset.
Yeah.
We look at success as being something more individual and unique to the person. And what you might deem as success for Elizabeth will be and can be, and it's okay for it to be different from what it looks like for me.
Yeah.
And there's no judgment. I mean, you experienced this yourself with Sawyer.
Sure. And, as I'm listening to you talk, I'm thinking, can you do both? I mean, obviously Cable does both, right? He does adventure team and he's on this basketball team. And so what does that shift in perspective provide to him? We should probably talk to him someday on the podcast about that. But he's seeing 2 different sides. And as you said, it's great to come back and kind of, okay, there's a place for that. And there's also a release in knowing that you're going to a place where that isn't, right?
Well, so if you go back to the beginning and you play forward to 2016, this is a story I've told before. Is actually, I think, an important thing for parents to hear who are new and don't know the history. So we're racing just locally, 14 and 15. 2016, we get an opportunity to start racing with a small group of kids in Wisconsin. That's the 35 kids. So we start racing. We start training in July for these races in the fall. There's 5 of them. And we train July, August, September, and then the races start in September. You go through October. Well, for me, that ended up being an education in that the 35 kids on the team, they were not all there for the same thing. I'm going to say 8 or 9 of them were there because they wanted to race competitively and they had their eyes on winning. They saw the podium and pictured themselves on it. The type of riding and the training stress that you need to get on a podium is much different than the training stress that a kid needs who's just there for the social experience.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really interesting because as we're practicing twice a week for months, you've got the competitive kids on the pointy end of the spear really fast because, we're all riding as a group.
Yeah.
They're constantly stopping and waiting for the rest of the group.
Mm-hmm.
So the front third's waiting for the back 2/3. They're impatient, rightfully so, because they have to keep waiting.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the group, to varying degrees, feel like every ride is a death march.
Sure.
And by the end of the season, they're growing to really not enjoy riding, which is super counterproductive.
Yeah.
That experience, then when we step back from it at the end of the year, that's actually when we started having conversations and said, hey, so competitive racing is a valid part of the cycling scene for kids. And they should have, for the kids who want to do that, they should have this opportunity. Mm-hmm. And there really wasn't one here at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're learning is, like, in this small group, 2/3 of the group don't care about the podium.
Yeah.
They just want to ride bikes. Maybe they want to ride fast sometimes and not fast other times. Maybe they don't want to ride fast at all. Mm-hmm. But they do like riding bikes with kids. Mm-hmm. A hell of a lot more than they like riding bikes with their parents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's one to pin up on the board for a callback. So the idea was, let's support a race team, but be very clear about, if you sign up for the race team, you need to be ready to do X, Y, Z, because this is what the expectation is going to be. Mm-hmm. And if you don't want to do the race team, which also, by the way, was just middle school and high school, and I think for the most part still is that way for NICA. Then on the other side, we created this adventure bike club, which had not existed.
Yeah.
And this is the core programming that now has been around for whatever, since 2017. Mm-hmm. And this is open to kids 5 to 17, boys and girls. No basis of skill. No, we don't group kids like not good, kind of good,
right,
better, best, which is how this other side often works. There's a hierarchy of skill and stuff. And when we first rolled that out, as soon as we opened registration, this side stayed around 30, the race side. That first time we opened registration for Adventure Bike Club, we didn't cap it, because I'm like, well, we'll just open it up and, hopefully after a month, 50 kids will be signed up.
Yeah.
The first day, within, I don't know, a couple hours, it was at 60 kids.
Wow.
And I actually just happened to check on my phone and had to go on and close registration and shut it down because of where we were at. We didn't even have enough coaches to handle 60 kids.
Sure.
So that piece it's resonated, but that is very different from the race team. Mm-hmm. So over here, it's like XYZ looks different than XYZ over here. And we run them separately.
Yep.
And then we ran them separately until a couple of years ago. And it just became easier for the race team to go off on its own. And I think that also opened up the opportunity for it to potentially grow because it wasn't our focus.
Yeah. It
always kind of seemed a little clunky for us to keep it around because it was so, there's nothing wrong with it, but it was not in alignment with everything we said in social media and everything that we promote.
Yeah.
Because it was very clearly about winning, which we have not promoted from a winning a medal perspective.
Right.
So, did Sawyer play other sports? Or did he try them?
Yes, he tried them. Yeah. And it just was not his, it was not his space.
Any idea what it was about it?
He is not competitive in that way.
Okay.
And I've shared with you, when he was little, right or wrong, right? If I needed him to do something and he wasn't doing it, I would say, hey, I'm going to start a timer. You have 2 minutes.
Right.
And the stress of the timer. He was like, no, don't do that. I'll do it right now. Don't start the timer. It was like the best way to get him to do something because he never wanted to start a timer. He was good without it. It would take him just, he'd do it in under 2 minutes, but just the idea of being timed, being in a space of like competitiveness, he didn't like that. And he's still like that. He's not competitive, but he's very much sets goals for himself. Yeah. And, but I don't see him competing against anyone but himself, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
He looks up to other people, inspired by other people's stories. He follows different weightlifters, right? Because he's really into like the lifting weights and stuff now. And, but I don't see him like competing in a weightlifting competition ever.
Cable has ridden since he was, born.
Yeah.
I mean, we had him on a strider, when he was 1.5, and he would ride the strider around the house and like, run into stuff or try to run it off the couch. And so he's been on a bike forever. It was interesting because as he was aging up through elementary, like we were doing a lot of riding of bikes and bike packing, and we did the Crusher together. He did, I think when he was 8, he did the Crusher 40, which was actually like 54 miles or something.
I think I interviewed him.
You did.
Yeah.
You did. So, very good bike rider, still loves riding his bike. The coaches on the race team, this is actually interesting. So as he is coming of age to where he can race, it's interesting to me that all of a sudden he's getting a lot of interest from these adult coaches because they see somebody who could potentially help them win.
Sure.
Because he's got the perfect build for a cyclist. He's fit. He is fast on a bike. He knows how to work hard. Yeah. It's like the perfect kid that you want on your team, right? So he was not planning to race, did not want to race. But then this is where it gets weird for kids because if you have adults that you look up to or you see as leader figures, and now all of a sudden they're giving you a bunch of attention to join their team, even when you don't intend to, you might give it a try.
Sure.
So he did. He got talked into joining the race team.
This year?
No.
This was okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Back when he was becoming a 6th grader.
Got you. So early on.
Yes,
okay.
Early on, the first year he could race. And he was in bike club.
Okay.
And then started getting all this attention. And then halfway into bike club, he's like, Dad, I think I want to race. I had not encouraged it or discouraged it. We had let him decide between the two what he wanted to do. And he picked the adventure team. Then he came in and he changed his mind. And I'm like, okay, looks like we're going to some races this year in Wisconsin. But then he got into it. And by the 3rd race, he was done with it. Yeah. But at that point, he had committed to the team. So, Stacy and I were both like, well, you've made this choice. You have to see it through. So he did. And after that, he never went back to racing. Yeah. On a bike. Yeah. But as you noted, he loves basketball. Yep. I've asked him what the difference is, and we can get him on here sometime. Yeah. Have it in his words in front of the camera. He loves that team environment of the traditional sport model. He loves that. He did not feel that existed on the cycling team for whatever reason. Yeah. Had it been different, if the chemistry was different, maybe his experience would have been different. Maybe he'd still be racing bikes. I don't know. Yeah. Because we really didn't try to push him one way or the other. But he ended up choosing, the path he went. It's good. And now, like with Sawyer, they're both apprentice leaders. So they're still involved on the adventure team, and they're just leaders now working with younger kids, which I think is great.
I do too. And I I see them. Well, I've seen Cable out there a lot as dropping off Sawyer over the years, and watched the way that he interacts with everyone at base camp. And I mean, he's a leader, right, in a different way there.
Yep.
And I think that's the big difference for me in that environment is everyone there has such a positive energy and is so excited, regardless of what level the person is, right? Like everyone, when you're dropping your kid off, is, you know, getting a fist bump and checking their bike the same as every other kid.
Yeah.
And I just feel like all the kids encourage each other in such a way that it's not about getting to that medal. They're encouraging just because they showed up, right? And it's refreshing. And Cable is he's one of the ones that has just a super impactful energy out there. And he just kind of zips around on his own. He's kind of in his own element.
Kind of a free spirit.
He is, yeah. But he's talking to kids and he's encouraging them, and just that inspires another child to be like, hey, I kind of want to ride like him one day. You know, I kind of want to have that kind of energy one day. And
yeah. So go back to the part where I talked about how the coaches became super interested in Cable as he became of age, and he could now be an asset for that team. I think that is a major, and this is really an important part for parents who are out there considering, what should I get my kids into? This piece, I want to make sure that I try to get this articulated well. A hockey team, and I know that there'd be some departure in opinion on this, and it's good, but, you know, a hockey team is going to be interested in you to the degree that you have the ability to help them win. If you're no good at hockey, they're not going to give a crap about you.
right.
And the same goes for a football team or a basketball team. It's the cold reality of it. If you've got 10 spots on a basketball team, you're going to fill the spots with the kids that have the ability to help you win.
Right.
Right?
That's what it's designed for. Yeah.
Yes. So you're trying to develop a winning team. And yes, you are trying to develop the kids on that team. But anybody who doesn't fit into this very small scope, you have no interest. Whereas with adventure teams, and my perspective on it, we're not interested in turning kids in to world-class cyclists. We're trying to help them become successful humans.
Yeah.
And what we're saying is that the pursuit of racing, the pursuit of a medal, the pursuit of the podium, you should be able to put that aside. And realize that the awards don't matter. How much better your kid is than all the other kids does not matter. What does matter is, what is their foundational coding as a human at the value level, the character attributes, how that person shows up regardless with other people, regardless of whether those other people facilitate an end to their means or not. Like, the connection for an adventure team is, we are a very diverse community of people, skills, talents, desires. We all come into this world in a different place. And the only objective is to move us all forward together.
Yeah.
It's so much more broad.
Yeah.
And you're not tethered to a specific type of person with specific skills and desires.
And I think it takes some time for the kids, not all kids probably, but for Sawyer, he wasn't, our world is competitive, right? We're raised to believe you win and you lose, and you fight for that top spot.
Yes.
And so in the beginning, when he started in bike club, he was like, not as fast as the person in the front. I can't do this.
And a lot of kids feel that pressure.
Yeah. And I kept saying, it's not a race. And he'd be like, yes, it is. No, it's not a race. It's what are you showing up as, and what do you want to accomplish, and what did you do that you want to do better, right? And so we had to have these conversations about it's really not a race. That's in your head. The person in the front isn't in the front because he's going to get a medal at the end. He's just the fastest of your group. He might be, just really fast that day. The next time it might be somebody different. And that was a hard concept for him to get in the beginning. He said that a lot, and he would be really upset. I'm last. I'm in the back. So what?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
That's your journey.
Yep.
And I think that lesson is super great.
The only reason that everything is a competition is because we choose to make it that way.
Yeah.
And it's really just a control mechanism for 15% of the population to essentially manage the other 85.
Yeah.
And I've said forever, whether you're an adult or a kid, that I fully believe maybe 15% of youth or adults are truly cued in on the podium and winning, and the other 85 are there for a wide range of reasons that, to me, are equally important and far less polarizing, and much more inclusive. And and this is what actually ended up helping us develop adventure teams and also our events. It's like, if 15% of the world gives a shit about winning exclusively, and the other 85 has a much broader perspective on it, and they come to it or do it for a lot of different reasons, why are you catering the experience of events to the 15% instead of the 85?
Yeah.
And that's really what we did with our events. Crusher, Polar Roll, and Margie is we catered to the 85. And it still worked to draw in the other 15 because the events are so damn hard that there is a lot of notoriety in being able to come and win Margie or the Crusher, as there should be. I mean, it is insanely impressive for somebody to claim a buckle at Margie. But it is also insanely impressive for Bob from Iowa, who, he works swing shifts. He rarely gets to train. It's as impressive for him to come to Marquette County in the fall and to finish after 24 and a half hours.
Absolutely.
And to be standing alone with me and Mark and, well, this year you and a handful of volunteers. And he stayed out there and he fought through that event knowing the crowd's not going to be cheering his name. Like, there's something really special about that.
For sure.
And I mean, and I'll take that back to the bike club, because I did play traditional sports growing up, and I love them, and I still love them. I still watch them. I've just somehow been able to step back and understand that while it's great for the people like myself who truly enjoy it, it's very exclusive.
Yeah.
And everything that you learn is part of a team. All of the hard work you have to put into becoming good at anything. This is not mutually exclusive to sports. This is not mutually exclusive to being the best football team.
Right.
Everything that they learn and practice, you should learn and practice as a human, regardless of what you're going to do. Which brings it back to Bike Club and the fact that we've always tried to feature all of those character attributes and the doing hard things and being willing to fail and, at some point riding that scary rock roll when you're ready. The kids have to learn this. They have to know they can fall off their bike and get back up. I don't care what they do with racing.
Yeah.
I have no skin in the game on it. But those are things that they deserve to learn too.
Yep.
And those are things that they learn to see themselves as. Right? Resilient, tough, independent, not dependent all the time.
Yeah.
And you need stuff like the Adventure Team program to offer that to the other 85% of kids out there.
Yeah.
And the fact, I'll just throw this out, that we started doing this and truly promoting the living heck out of adventure. And this whole philosophy that I've laid out, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, into perpetuity, it is not a mystery why other organizations that are race-focused copied the adventure model. That's not an accident.
Yeah.
I think that people know when I say 15% of the world cares about the podium and winning, the other 85 don't. I think they know it's right. I don't have a study for you.
Yeah.
But
well, you kind of do. You have 10 years of
well,
data.
and when, statewide or nationwide organizations start to put in models to copy what you're doing, it's pretty clear.
Yeah.
You're onto something.
Yeah.
The difference is I genuinely believe we make decisions every day and have made decisions every day for 11 years and will continue to make decisions every day forever based on what is truly in the best interest of the kids that we're trying to work with. It's not a business tactic. We're not catering to sponsors. We are not trying, like you've heard me say as you've come in, and we're having you work with outreach and creating more connections in the community. The one thing that I have said forever, and I know we've talked about, is we can't sacrifice who we are for money.
Yeah.
I'll walk away from money if I think that that money is going to try to make me who we're not.
Yeah.
And you have to be careful sometimes to sponsor money or even grant money because they'll ask you to do things you would otherwise not do. And that's how you get off track.
Yeah.
That's how you go off course. A little Crusher reference. And it can be dangerous. Got to stick to the mission. Got to stick to the mission. Registration for the adventure teams is May 3rd.
Yeah. It's coming up quick.
What is the date today? 14, 15?
15th. Tax
15?
day.
So a little over 2 weeks. Ooh,
Yeah.
Tax day. Oof.
There's a little fun fact.
That's not a celebration.
Sorry.
People can go to 906adventureteam.com. The information for timeline and how to get ready for registration is on the adventure team page if you follow the menus to get there.
Yep.
The page on Bike Reg is not live yet, but we'll get that up by next week. People who volunteer get to register their kids a day early.
Yeah.
So on Friday the 2nd, volunteers will start signing their kids up.
Awesome.
And we're still looking for volunteers.
In all the communities?
I'm going to say all the communities.
Yeah.
Some are much closer to being 100% full, we'll say, than others, but there's definitely some that need some more help. And our youth cap is set by the number of volunteers we have. So if we don't hit our volunteer goal, then we have to start looking at reducing the number of kids we can reach, which we don't want to do.
Yeah.
So there's still time to sign up as a volunteer. And also that can be accomplished by visiting 906adventureteam.com, going to the adventure team part of the website, and then following the path for the volunteer experience. Leadership Summit. 26th and 27th. So not this weekend, but the following weekend.
Oh, yeah.
10 spots left in it. If somebody's out there, listens to this, and wants to come and spend a day with us in Marquette, 1 day is inside with 6 presenters. We're going to do part of the day on Sunday inside working on like Bike Mechanic 101 for adults. And then we're going to do some outside on the bike training. The training is free. Go to bikereg.com and just search the word adventure, and then they'll find the Adventure Leadership Summit, and they could sign up for it.
And it's on our website.
It is, yes.
All the information.
Yes, they can also link.
There's a lot of really good information there about speakers and stuff.
Yeah, the whole weekend is spelled out. It's under 906adventureteam.com leadership training.
Yeah.
Yeah. Follow that. 10 spots. And the registration will close this weekend
Okay.
on Sunday.
Okay. It's good to know.
Are we missing anything we wanted to cover today?
Does a kid have to know how to ride a bike to be an adventure team?
They do.
Okay.
They need to know, they have to have some proficiency, at least in riding the bike. We've had a lot of kids come in that haven't necessarily ridden single track a lot, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. The one caveat on that is, I would say that the older they get, so if a 5-year-old comes in and hasn't ridden on single track, that is not a big deal.
Probably kind of normal.
It's super normal.
Yeah.
So I'd even say on Mondays for the kids that are 5 to 9 in Marquette now, as long as they can ride their bike proficiently, they know how to use the brakes.
Yeah.
You know, if they have the ability to shift, they know how to shift. We can teach them the other stuff.
Yep.
That's cool. We can also teach it on Thursdays, but those kids, when you start getting to 9 to 17, if you put a youth into a group of kids who do know how to ride single track, even moderately proficiently, if you have a child who doesn't have a lot of experience on single track and is timid, that can be tough. So a lot of times what we'll do if we find ourselves in that position is we'll take that kid from the group, have coaches work with them 2-on-1 to get the skill level up to where it needs to be, and then put them back into a group. We just don't want it to be a safety issue for them.
Yeah.
Actually, you should just touch on the open house.
Yeah. May 2nd.
May 2nd.
Open house here.
Yes, at Base Camp in Marquette, 955 North Lakeshore Boulevard.
That's right. So from 9:06 a.m. to 7 p.m., we're going to be here and inviting the community, families of Adventure Team, volunteers, people just interested in maybe getting involved with the 906 Adventure Team, wondering what ways they can get involved. We just are encouraging them to stop by for a tour, a chat, talk about some of the exciting plans that are coming up here.
Yep.
Kind of opening it up for the first open house, essentially.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
anyone is always welcome to stop by, but this would be the official, come on in, let's kick off the season.
We had a business after hours here a year or so ago.
Okay.
But this would be the first one. Opening it up to the public, saying, hey, come in here, check it out.
Doing bike checks.
See the place. We'll look at bikes.
Get on a podcast.
Yeah, if a parent has a question like, I don't know if this bike is going to work or not, they can come to Base Camp, bring the bike, bring a helmet that the child's going to be using, bring the child.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at it and we'll tell you what we think.
Yep.
So that'll be good. That'll be the first time doing that.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm excited. I'm excited to meet all the people that are involved or interested in being involved. And
it's for volunteers, current, prospective volunteers, parents, grandparents. You could stop in and ask nothing about Bike Club. Just ask to learn what are you guys up to?
Yeah.
Whatever. What's our time at? I figured.
What'd you say?
We're at 40.
Oh.
We went over 30.
Wow.
That's not a surprise. Okay.
You don't tell short stories, Todd.
No, I know. Okay, we're going to cut it. We'll try to do another podcast prior to registration again.
Okay.
We'll get into some more, maybe into the minutia of like orientation night, what that looks like, what parents can expect,
I can talk as a parent, but this will be my first year doing the behind the scenes, which I'm really excited about.
No, that's great. That's a great point. We can actually bring you on from a parental perspective and what that was like getting involved in it and just how it runs.
And I'm one of the parents that probably, I would say I'm probably more normal where I don't know I'm not good with technology. I had to fight with the app. So there's little insides I can give you. It's okay.
Yes. Yes. It is okay.
Don't get frustrated.
And use the app.
Tara had to help me with the app.
Yes. She had to help a lot of people with the app. And
she was very patient.
Yes. And you probably helped some people with the app last year. We'll help.
Yeah.
You have to know how to use the app.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to talk about it from a parent's perspective because there are pieces of it that I absolutely just love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. We'll do that next time.
Yeah.
All right. Over and out.
Cool.